So open up Godot, and in the scene tab, we need to create a new scene. So this is the default, and we add a 2D scene for a starter. Now then, when we add our node, the scene is not yet saved, so we need to save it by using the Ctrl S shortcut. And you have the save scene as, so I will not change anything and save the scene. And then click the node 2D, and we need to also add a script or attach a script. And also I will not change anything and create a new script for our node. Now this is what you will have for the default script. We can also make the script empty, but that's will be another tutorial. So first, let's talk about variable. So what you see I'm writing here, this one is called a comment line. It starts with a hashtag symbol, and the words after that will be a comment. Comment is useful when we want to document our code. So a variable is actually a memory that we assign a value to it, and this memory also have a name. So in Gdscript, a variable start with the keyword var. So we tell Gdscript that I want to create a variable or a new variable. So when we create a new variable, we need to assign a name to it. If you go to the below here, error 6 line 1, expected variable name after var. So Gdscript tell us this new variable you created need a name. So I name it player ID. So this player ID actually not. Let's go with the basic first. My var. So this is a variable named my var. When we create a variable, we can also assign a value to it by using the equal symbol. This equal tells Gdscript that I want to assign a value to this new variable. A value can be anything. The basic is the integers here. You can see the number 2. This value is called integers or a whole numbers. So it start with 1. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a new variable you created, and we can also use this variable. So if you go to the function ready, so I'm going to delete this pass line, and when you went to, we can use a print function. This print function tells Godot to print whatever inside this parent. This, I forgot this name. Whatever inside the print here, it will print in the output console. So print, let's put my var. So if we run the scene by pressing F5 or in this run project, no main scene has ever been defined. So select current scene. And when the project is run, you can see in the output tab here below there is a 6. And that is, this variable is called integers variable. A variable can also hold fraction numbers. And this fraction number in programming is called a float value. So if we go to the ready function and print again, my float, and if we run the scene, you can see in the output console here we print the 0.5. So this is the basics. I'm also going to delete the function process, or maybe not. So this function ready here is when we run the game, Godot will run this function at the start of the game. So when it runs this function, it will also run the code inside the ready function. It will print my variable, which is 6, and then it will print my float. So let's talk about variable more. Beside the integers, float value, a variable can also hold a text or a character. And for this variable it's called a string variable. For a string value or a text, you need to use the double quotes, and then what inside the double quote will be a string. A string or string. So we can also print this string variable. We put print my string. So if we run the scene, you can see the ede at the output console. So that is variable. This a very basic value: integers or whole numbers, float, a string or character. Now let's talk about a function. So a function is a collection of statements. Every line in Gdscript is called a statement. For this called a definition statement, where we define our variable, and this is called the function statement. This empty line here is empty statement, and the print my var is a print statement. So every line is a statement, whether it is empty or not. So Gdscript, sorry guys. So Gdscript also can give you to define your own function by using the function keyword func. So a function like variable needs a name. We call this my function. And after a function, we need to put this symbol. I forgot the name, sorry. Semicolon, parenthesis, parenthesis. And then after the parenthesis, we need to add a colon, double colon here. And after that, when you press enter, we add a tab. Inside the function, I will put this variable, my variable. Actually, I will not put my variable. Let's use a print function. Print, and then we will use a string value called my variable. So a function is basically a collection of statements. And a function, we use a function because it allows for a reuse. So for example, this function, and in the ready function here, we can call this built-in, this our own function here, my func, in the ready function. So my func. So a function is different from variable. When you call a variable, you can call only using its name. For example, my string. And when you use this, when you call the my string, it will not do anything because it will only reference back to the my string, and that is it. This will not do anything, this line my string. But the function here is different. When we call a function, we reference to this function here, and then it will run the code inside the function. So it will print my variable is here. So if we run the scene, you can see in the output tab, my variable is here. If we use put more than one, you can also call the function multiple times. So I put 4 my function, and if I run the scene, you can see there is 4 my variable is here at the output console. Now then, a function can also receive an input. For example, we create a new function, function my2 for short, and colon, and so inside the parenthesis, not parenthesis, inside this, inside here, I totally forgot this name. So inside this one, you create a parameter. It's called parameter. So for example, the parameter inside the function is the same as a variable. This parameter, and then we print my param. And to use the parameter here, we can the parameter can only be used inside the function where it is defined. So it can be used only inside this function, my param, and we use inside the function to print my parameter. So if we in the ready function, you call the function my function2 here, and then you can see void my2 my param equal variant. Oh, this tells that this function need a input parameter to be called. You can also see in the error line 25 5, too few argument for my function call, expected at least 1 but received 0. 1 because we have my parameter or parameter defined inside the function. So this parameter can be any value. For example, I put 4. If I run the scene, you can see at the top here 4. So with this, we can also put a new value, 3000, and it will print 3000. So a function allows more code reusability, and we can also optimize the code by not using many lines of code many times over. For example, we want to print, or for example, a function, maybe for example, in the ready function, we want to calculate the player score. Maybe not. But this is, I think, that's more difficult. So a function can have a input value. A function can also return a value. So to do that, we create a new function called function return value. And to make a function that return a value, we use the keyword return. So after the keyword return, we need to insert a value. So for example, 5, maybe 50. So in the ready function, when we call the return value function, it will return 50. In order to use the return value, we need to put the function inside a variable, or just using the function inside the print function. For example, we type print return value. So when this line code run, this print function will read the value, return value here. It will go to the function return value and run the code inside. When it reach this return 50, it will return back to the print function a value 50. So if we run the scene, you can see 50 above below the output. So when you know how to, and also a function parameter can only not be one but multiple parameter. It can have 1, 2, or 3 parameter. I forgot about that. So also, and in this, it errors, call it need 3 but it only receive 1, so we add 1 2 so that Gdscript will not screaming at you. Now that we have and we run the scene, it's still the same because this new parameter we do not do anything with it. So that is for this video, very basics. To get better, my advice is always write, and not just read but write with your keyboard here, and write more codes and write more codes. Now in the next video I will talk about the function, the built-in function like this one. This is not a function we define but Godot's function. The reason is because it has this underscore in front of the ready, and we know that when it is underscore it is always a built-in function that Godot use. There are many built-in function. This one ready here, this the comment above, if you read it, it say call when the node enter the scene tree for the first time. When we run the scene, that very moment it will run the ready function. So that is for this video.